When changing to Windows XP Professional, you may decide to upgrade an existing operating system rather than install Windows XP from scratch. The upgrade option overwrites system files without losing user settings or affecting other stored files on the system. You can perform an upgrade to Windows XP Professional from any of these operating systems: Windows 98 and Windows 98 SE, Windows ME, Windows NT Workstation 4.0 SP5 or higher, Windows 2000 Professional, Windows XP Home Edition. You need to consider various factors when choosing between installing Windows XP as a clean installation, an upgrade. When the existing operating system is incompatible with a Windows XP Professional upgrade, for example, Windows 95 or earlier systems, you should perform a clean installation. You may also use the clean installation option if no operating system exists on the computer, if you want to make use of dual or multi-boot options, or if you do not want to retain any of the current user settings or applications on the targeted system. Upgrading a system is particularly useful when you want to retain existing personal settings, files, and applications. It also ensures that local users and groups created on the system using Windows NT 4.0 or Windows 2000 Professional are retained. Upgrading to Windows XP Professional from Windows 2000 is the easiest and simplest upgrade because the Windows 2000 operating system is structured similarly to that of Windows XP. The Windows NT 4.0 upgrade is also relatively seamless, but upgrading from Windows 98 or Windows ME can result in some problems or incompatibility issues. All data and applications stored on a computer rely on the operating system for retrieval or in order to function. Thus, problems that could result from an operating system malfunction are critical. To avoid the threat posed by problems with an operating system upgrade, you need to plan the upgrade carefully. This is especially true of upgrades from the MS-DOS-based Windows 98 and Windows ME systems to Windows XP, because they are vulnerable to incompatibility problems. A Windows XP upgrade plan in checklist form is recommended for the upgrade process. The basic elements that should be included are that you need to check hardware and their drivers, run the Windows XP Upgrade Advisor tool, check the BIOS, perform general housekeeping, backup data and configuration files, uncompress partitions, install drivers for special disk controllers. You need to ensure that the computer meets the minimum hardware requirements for Windows XP using the Microsoft Hardware Compatibility List HCL file store in the support folder of the Windows XP CD. Then ensure that you have Windows XP drivers for the hardware. You run the Windows XP Upgrade Advisor tool, i386 WinNT32 Check Upgrade Only, from the product CD to audit both hardware and software for compatibility with Windows XP. It is particularly important to ensure that you have the latest BIOS available from your computer manufacturer, because Microsoft supports only those devices listed in the HCL. You should delete unnecessary files and applications and verify that there are no existing problems by checking for viruses, scanning the disk, and defragmenting all drives. Once you have cleaned up the computer, you need to back up all data and configuration files. It is recommended that you test the backup by performing a restore before you begin the upgrade. Compressed partitions cannot be upgraded, and so you need to uncompress all partitions before the upgrade begins. When using RAID or SCSI controllers, you may need to press F6 during the initial text mode of the setup process to install the relevant drivers. If you omit this step, the installation is likely to fail because the boot device is inaccessible. You'll therefore need to restart the installation. After an upgrade, some legacy software may not function correctly. However, Windows XP provides application compatibility support that allows you to configure the application to run in a specific compatibility mode. You access this functionality by setting the properties of the executable file for compatibility in a particular Windows mode, for example, Windows 95 or Windows ME. Compatibility modes are available for the following operating systems: Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows ME, Windows NT 4.0 SP5, and Windows 2000. The following types of software may be incompatible with Windows XP Professional: antivirus applications and disk quota software, custom power management tools, third-party client software. Antivirus applications and disk quota software may be incompatible with Windows XP Professional because of changes in the version of NTFS used in Windows NT 4.0 and later Windows versions. You should at least ensure that the antivirus software is disabled before upgrading. Custom power management tools may be incompatible with Windows XP Professional because the Advanced Configuration and Power Interface (ACPI) and Advanced Power Management features in Windows XP Professional replace these tools. Third-party client software may include networking protocols and client software that do not have upgrades available in the i386 WinNT UpG folder on the Windows XP Professional CD. Typically, you should uninstall potentially problematic software before upgrading to Windows XP, and then reinstall the software once Windows XP is up and running. What factors must you consider when planning an upgrade to Windows XP? When upgrading a system to Windows XP, you can enter data directly as Windows is installed, or you can set the operating system to perform an unattended upgrade. To carry out an unattended upgrade, you run WinNT32 unattend from the i386 folder of the product CD. The program then copies all user data from the existing operating system and enters this information automatically during the upgrade. If you upgrade a Windows 98 or a Windows ME system to Windows XP Professional, you have the option of uninstalling XP and returning to the original operating system if necessary. This option is available only if you retain the FAT32 file system and do not convert to NTFS. Windows 98 and Windows ME do not support NTFS. To remove Windows XP, you need to double-click Add Remove Programs in the control panel, and then click the appropriate Uninstall Remove option. Windows XP Professional can coexist with one or more operating systems on a single computer, in a dual or multi-boot configuration. The Setup program automatically installs a dual or multi-boot configuration when it detects existing operating systems on the computer. When creating a dual or multi-boot system, you need to ensure that the file system that you use is compatible for all operating systems installed. This often means that you need to use a FAT32 system rather than NTFS. Windows 9X and Windows ME do not support NTFS. Windows NT 4.0 does not support FAT32, but does support NTFS. Additionally, each operating system should be stored in separate drives, and you should install the operating systems in the sequence of oldest first to newest last. Suppose that you want to create a multi-boot system that incorporates Windows 98, Windows NT 4.0, and Windows XP Professional on a single computer. What operating system should you install last on the multi-boot system? To run the Upgrade Advisor, you insert the Windows XP installation CD on the machine that you want to upgrade. You select the Check System Compatibility option. You click the Check My System Automatically option. The Windows Upgrade Advisor dialog box opens and provides the default option of downloading the latest setup files from the Internet. In this case, you want to skip this step. Select the No, Skip This Step and Continue Installing Windows radio button and click Next. The Update Advisor checks the system and finds no incompatibilities. You click Finish to close the dialog box. Before upgrading a Windows 2000 system to Windows XP, you want to ensure that no compatibility issues arise. Run the Check Upgrade Only application. To upgrade from Windows 2000 to Windows XP Professional, you insert the product CD into the target computer. The CD then opens the Startup Wizard on the Welcome page, and you click the Install Windows XP option. The Upgrade Recommended option in the Installation Type drop-down list of the Windows Setup dialog box is selected by default. You accept the default selection and click Next. On the License Agreement page, you select the I accept this agreement radio button and click Next. You type the product key into the text box provided on the Product Key page and click Next. You want all Windows updates to be made from a shared folder on the network, so you don't want to download the latest setup files from the Microsoft Update site at this point. Select the No, Skip This Step and Continue Installing Windows radio button and click Next. Windows XP Setup then completes the upgrade without any further input. Once the upgrade is complete, the computer reboots and opens the default Windows XP desktop. When you are unable to upgrade users' computers, you may need to copy their settings from their old computers and install them on new computers. This process is known as migrating user settings. For example, if the hardware on a user's computer is incompatible with Windows XP or simply too old, you can supply them with a new Windows XP computer and migrate their settings to this new computer. Windows XP Professional provides two tools with which you can migrate user settings: File and Transfer Settings Tool, FAST, User Settings Migration Tool, USMT. The Fast Wizard tool is a GUI-based tool stored in the System Tools folder of the Windows XP Start menu. This tool copies user settings, including email and Internet settings, as well as the My Documents and My Pictures folders from the user's computer to the new Windows XP computer. You can use the Fast Wizard from Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows 98 SE, Windows ME, Windows NT 4.0, Windows 2000, and Windows XP. The USMT is a command line tool that requires a client computer that is connected to a Windows 2000 server or Windows Server 2003 domain controller. It has the same functionality as the Fast Wizard, but also enables IT administrators to customize specific settings. For example, it allows administrators to modify users' startup options in the registry. These modified settings will then apply when users transfer their files and settings. To migrate user settings, the USMT uses two executable files, scanstate.exe and loadstate.exe.